First, gather your supplies. We're going to recycle by using old broken crayons and pieces of cardboard that's really thin called chipboard. You can find those on a lot of food packaging like cereal boxes. And then you're going to need the ink that's going to go on top, which is called Super Black India ink by Speedball. If you have a kit from the library, you'll have a cute little bottle of it that you can use. That'll make you like 5 boards or so. And then you'll need a foam brush to spread the ink around on top and not get too streaky. And last, you'll need something sharp, but not too sharp, to make your design, like a toothpick or a fork. We're going to be creating art inspired by the illustrations by Claudia Davila in the book Ruby's Birds.
So the illustrations are really lovely, but there's one page in particular that was reminiscent of the scratch art. So it's kind of cool. So there's a few tricks to make this work well. We're covering the entire surface of our Scratchboard with crayon. So whatever design you use, whatever colors you use, you need to make them nice and thick so there's no part of the paper showing through. You definitely don't want to do something like this. This is a bad one. See how I just kind of scribbled and there's like a lot of holes showing the cardboard through? That is not going to work at all. Because then when I try to scratch it, so I did the same on both sides. So then when I go to scratch it, there's a bunch of spaces where it just scratched away that the ink is still staying on the board because it's staying through because it didn't float on the top. If you don't fill the page completely nice and thickly with the crayons, then the ink will go onto the cardboard, so your design won't show up very well. So you definitely want to really, really, really cover your cardboard, all crayon covered. And you can do whatever design you want. You don't need to get too intricate with it because it is going to be covered over. Go ahead and just pick a few colors that are farthest away from black because we're going to be covering it over with black. Because you want to have some contrast. So the lighter and brighter, the better. And your piece of cardboard, this one is from ice cream. Because you have to press so hard, it's actually easier to use the little stubs that kind of, on the broken crayons. But if you only have full ones, then it is a little easier if you don't have the paper on there too much. I'm gonna do a spiral pattern on this one just for fun, but I'm really pressing down hard on it so that it gets a really good coating of the wax, so there won't be any the ink when we put the ink on top. There won't be any that touches the board. It all is going to float on top of the crayon. Nice and thickly applied. And that'll also make it a little brighter, nicer looking when you scratch the ink away to make your design. And it doesn't really work to do like words or anything like that. You really just want to do like blocks of color or patterns of color, because you have to scratch it away. So you could write something on it at the end, but on this at this stage it's not as useful to have really intricate patterns because you won't see them. And I already broke this one. It is easier to use the littler ones just because you have to press so hard to get a nice coverage. It's just easier to use the littler ones. And you can kind of tip it around and see every part of it is going to be a little bit shiny because it has the wax on it. And that's what you want. And here's one that's just some gradated greens, lovely little ombre here, and then just sort of like an abstract pattern. But just cover that page really well with the crayon, because what it's going to do is it's going to create a barrier for the India ink, the little dropper, for that to sit on top of. And then once it's dry, you can use your toothpick, your handy dandy toothpick, and scratch away your design. It'll kind of look like this sample here. So it's a bit of like a negative, instead of it being like the white paper, like this with the ink on top of that, you're going kind of backwards at it. So what you scratch away is going to be your color or your highlight. So it'll look somewhat like that, whatever design you pick. So I think we're probably Samitha and Jessie are probably at the point where they can put their ink on, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. But this you'll just open it up, and it really, I say that is okay. There we go. You'll just open it up, boom, 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 and it really only takes a few drops. So I'm gonna
Sarah, come here.
just put a little bit on there, because you can always put more. Because then we'll reveal. Yeah, we have a brush here, so I'm gonna brush that around. But just really quickly, this one is just. You see it? It's just the Speedball India
ink increase the shine.
Yeah, some of those are different languages. It's very opaque. It's permanent, waterproof, fast drying. Not dyes, but it's actual. It's pigment, not dyes.
Easy to scratch.
And yeah. Well, and the thing is that when you scratch it, it won't do like paint. Like sometimes when you scratch paint, like flakes of it'll come off. This will only come off where you scratch. So that's the advantage of this. So now that I had a few, I just put, as you saw, just put a few drops on. Then I can just kind of spread it around with my my handy dandy sponge brush. And it's good to have a piece of paper underneath.
Yeah. So you can go all the way to the edges.
Yeah. Now, it does take a couple of coats to really get a nice thick coating, especially since it's wax and it likes to not have stuff stick to it. So I might have to do a second coat with this, but that's okay. And it dries pretty quickly. And you'll see, you can tell it's dry because then it'll be, so you can see in the camera, it's very shiny right now. So then once it's dry, it'll be very matte. So it won't have shine. It'll be kind of dull. It'll just be a flat black. And it takes a very light coat too. Like it's if you do it thicker to try to get it covered more before it dries, it just won't work. So it's better just to do 2 light coats. Okay. You can see it's already starting to dry over in this corner here. So you can see how it's not shiny there anymore. And you could also use like a hair dryer to speed it up a little bit if you so choose. Oh, I guess I should say also, the India ink is very, it can get a little bit messy. So you want to make sure you have like a paper towel handy, and you don't want like nice clothes on because it can get on your clothes. I would say you could either sketch out what design you're going to scratch in it when it's done, or you could start making another one, because you'll have enough ink to do several scratch boards. Your brush can be reused. You just need to wash it out. So before this completely dry, before the after the class.
Okay, the ink will be any color?
The ink is going to be black.
To everyone?
Yep, everybody's got black ink for this one. If you decide to make another one, you could do you could go the opposite way. You could try a white ink and do really dark colors. You could try that. You could, mix it up, do
I
whatever
didn't
you.
know there were other colors.
They're traditionally the black with the bright colors underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what we're doing here. But yeah, you use your creativity. Do whatever you want.
Okay, after paint, what's the next step?
The next step is you scratch away. I kind of already showed you that step. The next step after this is dry, and if you decide not to do a second coat, then you just start scratching away with your. You're gonna have a toothpick in your kit, or you could use anything really. If you wanted to try, you could take a comb. That's kind of cool because it's got all those tines, and you could do a design like that, and then all of those will stay. I should have grabbed one. That's a great question, and I don't have one here to show you that. But
I have a comb.
yeah, good. It's good to comb your hair every once in a while.
Who does that anymore?
And you could play with different instruments to scratch it away. You just don't want to use like a knife where it would cut through it. You want something that's hard enough to scratch away the ink that's on top, but that's not going to puncture your picture.
Like scissors?
Yeah, scissors might be a bad choice because that would just cut your picture instead of scratching it.
Yeah.
You could use like a ballpoint pen that's not, the kind that retracts, so you don't have the ink part sticking out. It's just the stick part, or one that's run out of ink. I've used those.
Yeah, I know.
That's another thing you use, reusing your trash. There you go. Earth Day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that was sort of part of our thing, was we wanted to reuse stuff that is traditionally trash. So like I had the popsicle and cereal boxes and stuff for the substrate, is what this is called, the surface upon which we're making our art. And using like the stubs of the crayons that a lot of people just throw away. Well, we're extending their use. And and you can see how this is already, a lot of this is, there's only a few little shiny bits left, so this is dries pretty quickly.
I have ink, but it is in a pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would take a while to get on there. I think it's going to be better for you to wait until you get your ink, little ink bottle. This one got very messy, so I'll wash that up. But
Yeah, my ink bottle got.
Your table got messy.
It did. It's true, but that means that I was making art, so it's okay.
That's
It's
true.
easy to clean up. I can just pick up this piece of paper and put it in the recycle.
How do you paint it? If you paint it, if the cardboard will spread around.
Yeah, it's just because I put just a few drops, and then I just move those drops around with the foam brush.
Okay.
And covered up the whole thing. It only takes a little bit. You'll see when you get your ink. It'll all make sense.
Okay. Okay, now what we're gonna do?
You can head over to the virtual calendar for the Newcastle County Libraries to see what we're doing next.